So for those that don't know EFSA well, I have a few slides on what we are doing and how we work. And then I have some very practical examples on how we use data generated by Earth observations. So, and one slide on the future needs. So I'm not going to dwell too long on all the different activities EFSA is doing, because I think only a few of them may touch, but just to tell you our mission, EFSA is protecting consumers, animals, plants, and the environment through independent, transparent scientific advice on risk in the food chain from farm to fork. And just to avoid confusions, we are not actually dealing with any legislative developments, but we are just providing scientific advice. So we are an independent institution, and we are also having the duty to communicate and to cooperate with other scientific institutions. So we do not adopt regulations, authorize marketing of new products. We do not develop food safety policies, and we do not enforce the food safety legislation, meaning controls, etc. It's not done by EFSA. So how we work, this is our organogram, and I just wanted to tell you, I'm part of the staff that is part of this unit, which is the Bio-How unit, and it has one team that is dealing with animal health and welfare, but most of the scientific risk assessments are done in here, and this is also the biggest part of the staff, while other, let's say, departments are more supporting the scientific assessments. So we are getting mainly our mandates from the European Commission, or sometimes the Parliament, and sometimes also individual member states, and EFSA can also issue self-mandates when the need is high or when we don't have already too high workload. And then we go through this workflow. I don't want to go into detail for the assessment, and finally we publish the outcomes and communicate them. We work through scientific panels, and we have a scientific committee that is actually horizontal through the scientific panels of EFSA. There's some fixed stuff that you can see, but our biggest expertise comes from also external experts. So we work with working groups. We have a lot of procurements running at the moment where we have external consortia trying to help us with our risk assessments. And we also have consultants or tasking grants within EFSA. So just a few examples from the animal health context, but you can understand, for instance, the plant health unit has also a lot of use of Earth observation data or the risk assessment for pesticides, etc. So one example that I thought might be relevant, although it's not vector-borne, is the one developed by this consortia. It's on developing an early warning system for highly pathogenic avian influenza. And it's called the bird flu radar. This is just a screenshot, but you saw the website where you can, maybe if you're interested, play a little bit with the tool. It actually provides you a weekly update of the risk of introduction and establishment of avian influenza through the importation of the virus from wild birds, and also, let's say, the exposure to the local birds. So it has three components, and one of them is the most important, I think, in relation to the Earth observation data, is the estimation of the species abundance. This part is developed by Sophie, and they are using Eurobird portal data to do so, to develop the abundance estimates of, let's say, 12 important species that could be vectors of or importing avian influenza into the European countries, European Union countries. So we start with observations of this data that come in on a weekly basis, and then these are combined with then the data that are more familiar to all of you, the percentage of cover of the habitat types, mixed forest, and some examples are listed here. Modeling is done, which I'm wisely not going to explain to you, but I'm referring to the report later where you can find the detail how the model is done. But the weekly abundance predictions are again then the input for the next steps in the model that you have seen to come up then with this weekly alert. And actually it's pretty accurate in terms of the accurations of the outbreaks of the avian influenza, for instance, that we observed in the Netherlands this year. That were quite a big, had a huge economic impact. So this is the report I was talking about with the people that have developed the different components of the model, and the EFSA coordinators that are in charge are listed there. That's Lisa and Inma. In case you have questions, technical, please address them to them. Another practical example of using Earth observation data in our health assessments is on African swine fever. I think we have done more than 14, 15 years of work on African swine fever now. Not a most typical risk assessment, but just to show you another type of use of data is when we use the wild boar density estimates to actually evaluate how well the member states are doing their surveillance in the affected areas. For instance, here we see those areas that are having the red margin that are the affected, let's say the affected areas in the EU. And we can see then, based on the best wild boar density that we have estimated, what is the percentage actually they sample. So a big, I mean, the infected areas, they have to sample the carcasses of wild boar to see if they're infected or not, and to monitor the situation. Another example how to use this wild boar data is, for instance, to see what's the actual effect of the disease on the wild boar population itself. So they are grouped a bit according to region, but the top here you can see the Baltic states. Just to draw your attention on, here is the incursion of ASF in the Baltic states in 2014, and you see the drastic effect of the disease on the population itself. I'm not going to show you the other, but clearly the duration of the disease in the population or the coverage of the disease in the country will have an effect on the population in total per country. So again, the principle is the same. It's based on wild boar sightings that are then modeled into here predicted wild boar presence using Earth observation data combined with the people's citizen science and also data provided by ENET Wild Consortium. So I end this part on the wild boar and the ASF, with referring to these works and the coordinators in EFSA and the actual ENET Wild Consortium that had developed this model for the abundance. And then the final one, the example is on the vector-borne diseases, where I would like to just show a few tools. One is a more generic tool which compares different diseases, coming potential risk for introduction, probability of entry, establishment, spread, and impact of the disease. By the end of the 4 years framework contract, the consortium will have developed this for more than 40 diseases. We start with the zoonotic diseases under the context of One Health mandate that we have at the moment. And the other example, that because I have to rush a little bit, running out of time, is more specific disease risk assessments. For instance, the one on Rift Valley fever or blue tongue, that then all of them again are using abundance models for the vectors that are relevant for these vector-borne diseases. And these abundance, or in this case we have presence models, are based again on observations of vectors that are collected by the different organizations in the countries, in the area that we call it the VectorNet area, which is the EU and the neighboring countries. And this has been a big achievement of VectorNet that has finalized in October 23. That has been able to collect and my time is up, so this data for long. So here I just switched to my last slide. Sorry, I'm wasting even more time. But by alerting you, thanks for Willy, that is going to then go into the details about the abundance model. But by alerting you that VectorNet recall is out, and we really rely on that expertise to help us with these modeling aspects. So thanks for that, and hopefully we will get some applicants. Please spread the word. And this was the last slide that I wanted to say. Actually, in the situation that we have also seen in the museum that our future is not always looking too bright. This was the last year in Italy, just very close by. You wonder when is your turn. But we are shifting towards rapid risk assessments. We don't have the luxury anymore to work on 1 year for one assessment. So we need to really focus on automation and improved access and increased frequency of data availability to meet the demands in our mandates, because our mandates reflect the situation, because the risk managers generally have also no time to spend a lot on resources on prediction, but rather on dealing with the situation as they are, the outbreaks as they are. So we need also to think out of the box. How can we use different type of data instead of spending 1 or years of trying to predict wild boar movements or wild boar density? Do we have direct observations of them in the future? Just out of thinking maybe it's not realistic, but also in terms of the One Health, I think it's very important that we're not trying to do everything, but that we keep to our specialization, but increase our collaboration to come to the same common goals. And that the final one is a bit, let's say the risk managers not always want our predictions. They most of the time want the solutions. So I also would like to urge to start thinking a little bit more in terms of vector control. How can we use the data? And I think there are some good examples already in that. But that was it. Thank you.